Why is lying something to even think about? Well, because lying is the cause of real suffering, not just for the people who are denied the truth, but for the people who are telling the lies. And guess what? You lie, and I lie. Everyone lies, so it's universal. It's when you understand some of the reasons that you lie, as well as the effects it has on you and other people, that you can begin to evolve past lying, which can make you a happier person. Lying is a very human thing. To be human is to lie. Let's say you come home and you see that your dog has made business in the house, and you can see the guilt on the dog's face. It's as plain as day. But animals have no ego, and they don't know how to hide their feelings. Animals have no capacity to lie. Humans are very different because we have a personal and selfish agenda. We have massive egos, and we avoid risk, we fear consequences. Everyone alive lies, and we can only catch a small fraction of the lies that we're told by all the people and all the voices that we hear all day, which means the reality that we think we live in is actually rather skewed, based on the lies we still believe to be true. You may have heard the story about Stephen Glass. He was a rising star for a magazine called The New Republic. His stories, his editorials, told fantastic tales about amazing companies and incredible people who were changing the world. And the characters in his stories always told him all their intimate secrets. Stephen Glass managed to be at the right place at the right time, and he seemed to stumble on groundbreaking stories over and over again. But in 1998, it was revealed that Mr. Glass fabricated most, or all, of his stories. They were total fiction. Just great short stories, if you ask me. His lies were uncovered when another reporter tried to verify the details in one of his pieces, and found out that the places and the companies, even the people that Glass had described, were just total fabrications. Just fiction from his imagination. Perhaps he should have been a novelist. Funny enough, after he was fired from the New Republic, he became a lawyer. Talk about transferable skills. But why would you need to lie, you ask? He's a reporter. Just report the news, report the events. It's not that hard. Why then make up all the stories? Well, in another show I talk about why reporters and media companies are forced to generate sensational content, and I demonstrate why their very survival depends on it. But why would Glass create these stories which were total lies? He was just getting a paycheck. First, it was the easiest way to get a great scoop. Hard work isn't that fun. Why spend all your time researching events and people and news when you can make it up? Secondly, he did it to compete with other reporters for space in the magazine. So his stories had to be salacious, or they wouldn't make the cut. To me, Glass's story is simply about the ends to which many people will go and are willing to go to keep their job, or even to try to get ahead. For Glass, it was about keeping his job, competing with his colleagues, and moving up. So Glass lied because it was easy. It was easier than doing the actual work. And he lied to get ahead, to keep his job, and to be recognized. Translation: money and ego. How about Lance Armstrong? Lance Armstrong lied about taking performance-enhancing drugs. Lance was sort of selling us the idea that if you work hard enough, if you want it bad enough, that if you train 1 million hours a day, that you can achieve superhuman feats. He made million on endorsements, and he did some good things with his charity too. But of course, he was lying. And he was caught lying, taking prohibited drugs. And he was absolutely right that everyone else was taking those same drugs too. And no one can compete in this space honestly if everyone else is cheating. So you are forced to cheat too, just to be even with them. But he lied to keep his edge and to maintain the illusion that he was winning through sheer hard work and will. He lied to compete, then he lied to maintain his position, then he lied to be recognized, and continue making millions. So like Stephen Glass, Armstrong fed on being recognized. He wanted to keep the role that he had created for himself, and he wanted to get ahead. Translation: money and ego. Bernie Madoff. He swindled thousands of people for billions of dollars. His sons were involved with the business, but by all accounts, even they had no idea the company was just one giant Ponzi scheme. Madoff's lies weren't just to ensure that new investor dollars were coming in, which of course all Ponzi schemes require. It was that he had become known for being an American success story, a pillar of hard work. that he had intelligence, that he was kind, a moral man who'd made even strangers millions of dollars. And every day for years, he had to keep up that charade. For his investors, to the community, to his wife, to his sons, he had a part he was playing, and he wanted to keep that part. He'd grown accustomed to the part, he'd grown accustomed to the lifestyle. And at what point do you decide to end the masquerade and expose yourself for a total liar, a charlatan, a fraud? So he lied, and he kept lying. He became trapped in that lie, and there was no way out. Even if he decided to give back every penny, he couldn't. The balances on the statements he was sending to investors, they weren't real. So like all lies, you have to keep up the shell game. Like Glass, like Armstrong, Madoff had to keep up the veneer of credibility. He had to keep it alive. He had to keep the game going, keep the money coming in. He had to keep paying older investors to maintain his station, to retain respect for himself and his family. I'm sure it started as pure greed, but very soon afterwards, it was all about preservation of ego, perhaps some fear of the legal consequences. And I do believe that at some point, like all liars who get themselves stuck, any thoughts of coming clean were quickly shunned. Madoff realized it might be better to prolong everyone's good feelings and sense of well-being, to keep the party going, so to speak. Because at some point he realized that what he'd done was beyond criminal. It was psychopathic. He didn't want to pull back the curtain and expose himself or cause pain to his family. So he was trapped in the lie, like a prison. And that's how things get worse and worse. It's one thing taking money from a hedge fund manager. It's another thing entirely to take someone's life savings or a couple's life savings. Both are terrible, but one destroys a life. The other is a write-off on a balance sheet. There is a momentum that gets built behind these lies, and they pick up steam. And Madoff trapped himself. There was no going back. He was never going to be forgiven by anyone, and he was going to go to jail, and he knew that. Lying is masking reality so that others cannot see the truth. That's really ugly, isn't it? Because you take away their freedom and their power to choose. Again, money and ego. We've all seen movies where advanced species of aliens or even futuristic humans are portrayed, and in these depictions, these advanced races never lie. They tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Whether that truth is good or bad, or hurtful or scary, even rude, they always tell the truth. They seem to have lost their ego and their fear, just like evolving means casting aside a useless organ like an appendix. Their intelligence grew past the point of needing to lie, so that trait became useless. And we all understand this when we see these depictions. Isn't that sort of interesting? Their brothers and their sisters and their spouses and employers, they all accept the truth, whatever that truth might be. And so us modern day humans still have to evolve past that sickness that we have, past that bad trait. And we lie because we're embarrassed, or we're ashamed, or we're worried about the consequences that the truth is going to bring. And sometimes lying is a kind thing to do, like not mentioning there's a party that you've been invited to because you know the person you're speaking with hasn't been invited, or when your wife makes something to eat and she asks you how it is, and of course you tell her it's amazing. Those are omissions and white lies out of kindness, and those are okay, I suppose. But the advanced aliens wouldn't need to do that either, would they? They would absolutely tell the person they were speaking with they were going to a party, or that they had just gotten a promotion, or that they had just bought a new house. Not because they were bragging, but simply because that was the truth. Telling lies doesn't just hurt the person who hears them, because they feel betrayed when they find out the truth. It hurts the liar too, and in many ways much more, because the guilt is a killer, isn't it? It's almost never worth the suffering. People lie to mask their feelings too. There's always a larger truth when someone says, just kidding. Just kidding. There is truth in jest, as they say, and actually no, they weren't kidding when they lit your hair on fire. There's also some larger insight or experience being masked when someone says, I don't know, or I didn't know. Oh, you didn't know? Of course you knew. You damn well know. And there's real pain and emotion and feeling when someone says, I don't care. I don't care is a lie. Everyone cares. I don't care is a shield. It's a protective barrier. And there's often real pain and suffering being masked when someone says, oh, it's all right. It's okay. Well, your house has been repossessed, Your life savings stolen by Bernie Madoff and your wife left. But it's alright, it's okay, you say, as if you're Superman and nothing can make you flinch. You're untouchable, nothing can hurt you or break you down, make you beg God for help. All of these are caused by ego. It's a self-defense, a denial to avoid pain and suffering, and these are more fundamental reasons that we lie. Is it any wonder that all those advanced civilizations didn't need to lie anymore? They learned that lying was neither necessary or worth the pain, so they discarded it. What a racket we run in our mind with all these lies, avoiding punishment, sometimes the face on a friend who's disappointed that we weren't more forthcoming, sometimes getting ahead at work or avoiding criminal or civil penalties, sometimes preserving trust or avoiding an argument, and often to trick ourselves so we don't feel guilty. We justify and we lie even to ourselves. Oh, I had no choice. Well, sure you did. You had a choice. And it's exhausting keeping up with lies, isn't it? It takes all your mental bandwidth, and there's nothing left to live your life. You're juggling lies, and that's all you can do. It's like keeping your head just above the water. Guilt piles up, your energy and emotions have all been expended. It's a nasty cycle. Now imagine adding excess alcohol or drugs, extramarital affairs, stealing, breaking the law, lying about who you are or what you've done or what you haven't done. And it's impossible to stop lying if you're constantly making bad choices. That's for another talk, probably. But the cycle of doing wrong and lying is a living hell for so many people, and there is real suffering that occurs here. Deep pain and suffering, wrath of God type anguish. Hell would be a reprieve from what some people go through dealing with the mess that they've put themselves in, and their families and their friends. And the lies compound the problem and make the liar punish themselves just to stay afloat. And they do more bad deeds and they tell more lies. You have to get off the treadmill of bad deeds, and then the lying can stop too. First off, think about what you lie about, and if you really even need to lie at all. What does the lying really get you, and is it worth the guilt and mental expense? Lastly, there is something called the critical inner voice, which is responsible for so much human suffering, and it's a large part of the reason that we lie. It's an internal enemy inside your head and can affect every aspect of your life. It has a direct impact on crucial pieces of us, like our sense of self-worth and our self-confidence. This critical inner voice can affect our personal relationships and our ability to perform at school or at work or even in social settings. The voice offers negative thoughts which affect us by undermining our hopefulness and our positive self-image. This voice criticizes everything you do, criticizes everything you say, or even things you think about. It will tear you apart for the way you look, or the way you talk, or the way you dress. Its goal is to make you feel guilty and self-conscious. It pulls us inside ourselves and makes us distrust ourselves and others. It can make us retreat from friendships and personal goals and make us more susceptible to drugs and alcohol and other addictions. Your critical inner voice says stuff like, "You're such a moron," or "You're so strange." It may also tell you, "You'll never be successful," or "You just don't have it." "You're not like other people," or "You're weird." Well, most of us are a little weird, so I guess it's right about that part. But you should know that none of the things that it says are true. And this sock puppet voice is not the real you either. The sock puppet plays a key role in enabling us to tell lies. It tells you that you'll only be accepted if you say the right thing, or don't reveal the true you. But nothing could be farther from the truth. In relation to your job or business partnerships, it may tell you to exaggerate or to lie. It will make you feel like you have to in order to compete, when in fact it's been proven that people who are frank and candid when speaking to prospects and clients, that the trust you build by being honest far outweighs any bell or whistle that your competitor has. And in some cases it even trumps price. With your spouse, the boy may convince you not to tell her you forgot her birthday because she'll think you don't care. So you sneak out before breakfast and you get her a gift at the gas station because it's Sunday and nothing's open. Now you're wrapping up an air freshener and an Elvis tree ornament that sings Blue Christmas, and you're telling her you've been planning it for months. Well, what's worse, telling her you forgot or lying about it? When you listen to your inner sock puppet tear you to shreds, you'll understand so much about what makes you lie. What turns the good you, who you know is in there, into a disgusting liar. get to know this voice inside your head, this inner critic. I also call it the squatter, because it appeared in your head, it made a home, and now it won't leave. The solution is simply to listen. That's all you have to do to cure it, is to listen to it. Listen to what it says about everything you do and you hear. Listen to how it belittles you, and don't debate it. Listen as it rambles. Incidentally, the real you, the person you've been trying to find, that's the observer. You are the observer, the one who listens and who hears, and who sees. You are not the sock puppet. That's something else. So just listen to it rant, and it may take days or weeks, sometimes months, but if you stop debating it in these endless circles, you'll begin to hear it stop talking, because you're not feeding it anymore. In my book, Edwin's Reflection, one of the characters, named Gwen Pierce, is a psychiatrist, and she talks a lot about this squatter to the story's hero, who then uses her framework for clear thinking to navigate the pitfalls he encounters in the story. But when you start to see how this squatter puts you down, you'll begin to separate that voice from your real point of view, and you can avoid doing destructive things like telling lies, especially when there's no reason to. There's one last thing you can do to stop lying. Think about taking chances with people you care about by just being a little bit more honest, maybe a little bit more direct. Stop sugarcoating the things that you talk about and you say. Stop beating around the bush. Think about what it is you're trying to communicate. Words are important. Slow down. Think about it before you say it. You can find healthy ways and considerate ways to express yourself and be kind and sensitive too. The truth may not always be easy to say or even to hear, but it's far healthier. And you'll feel better doing it in the long run. You'll earn far more trust and respect from those people whose opinions you value the most. And you won't spend all your bandwidth juggling lies and guilt and self-doubt. You know, I've always appreciated the kindness in the expression, take care of yourself. Now that's something all of us often forget to do. And avoiding telling lies is really more about being kind to ourselves than anyone else. So think a little bit about when and why you lie. Listen to the inner squatter and be more direct. The truth is what the real you has always wanted, and it's right there inside you and always available to you if you allow it. Thanks for listening. You can hear more Ray Talks or read my free short stories at raydeeg.com. That's RayDeeg.com.